This evening, first up, a deadly highway crash turns tragic. A 39-year-old father loses his life after a high-speed collision near the University of Guyana. What caused one driver to fly over the median, and why road safety is once again in the national spotlight. Plus, a new political force is gaining ground. Three rising parties unite under one bold vision. Meet the leaders of the newly formed Forward Guyana Movement and hear what they say sets them apart ahead of the 2025 elections. Also, the police force gets a $34 billion upgrade, body cameras, stun guns, rebuild stations, and record-breaking crime reduction. But will it be enough to restore public trust? Commissioner Hicken lays out his plans for a smarter, stronger Guyana Police Force. Meanwhile, Building Expo 2025 officially launched, with hundreds of booths already booked and a futuristic model of Silica City on display. We'll tell you why this year's event could shape Guyana's path to 2030 and beyond. Finally, in the U.S., alligator Alcatraz, President Trump sparks global outrage after opening a new migrant detention center deep in Florida's wetlands, why human rights groups are sounding the alarm. All this and more coming up on Headline News Update. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for July 2nd, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, a three-vehicle collision on the Rupert Craig Highway has turned fatal following the death of 39-year-old Narayan Sikandar, the driver of motorcar PMM 3778. Sikandar succumbed to his injuries around 8:15 a.m. today while undergoing emergency surgery at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. His body is now at the hospital's mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. The accident occurred on Tuesday morning around 9 a.m. near the University of Guyana Access Road on the east coast of Demerara and initially resulted in multiple injuries but no reported fatalities. According to police investigations, the accident involved hire car HD 3223 driven by Neil Lewis of Sisters Village East Bank, Berbice, motorcar PAK 9877 driven by Camille Daniels, and motorcar PMM 3778 driven by the deceased Narayan Sikandar. Reports indicate that Daniels was driving at high speed eastbound when he lost control of his vehicle. His car swerved over the concrete median separating the dual carriageway and collided head-on with Sikandar's westbound vehicle. Sikandar's car was then pushed into the path of the higher car driven by Lewis, leading to a chain reaction. All five individuals, three drivers and two passengers, sustained injuries and were rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital by public-spirited citizens. While Sikandar suffered a fractured arm and later died, the other victims were treated for facial lacerations and chest pains and are in stable condition. The Guyana Police Force has since classified the incident as a fatal accident and continues to investigate the circumstances surrounding the crash. Road users are again reminded to exercise caution and obey speed limits, especially along busy highways, to prevent further tragedies that have devastating consequences on families and communities. On a different note, with general and regional elections set for September 1st, the Guyana Elections Commission has approved 19 of the 22 political party symbols submitted for contesting the polls. The remaining 3 symbols are awaiting final approval, pending minor modifications. Among the approved symbols is the contentious leopard logo submitted by the We Invest in Nationhood party led by U.S.-sanctioned businessman Azruddin Mohammed. The symbol was initially challenged over claims it depicted a jaguar, a national symbol, leading GCOM's chairperson retired Justice Gladys Singh to rule against its use under Article 7 of the Constitution. However, Mohammed later clarified that the symbol was a leopard, not a jaguar. GCOM accepted the clarification and approved it. GCOM also clarified that while 24 symbols were originally submitted, 2 parties have since joined a partnership for national unity, reducing the number of individual submissions to 22. The elections body reaffirmed its commitment to transparency and continuous engagement with political stakeholders ahead of nomination day set for July 14th. Parties will then submit their list of candidates along with their approved symbols. Meanwhile, GCOM continues preparations for the elections. 10 returning officers and 10 supernumerary returning officers were recently sworn in to oversee the electoral process across key regions. The statutory claims and objections process is also wrapping up, with the revised list of electors to be published shortly. Notably, amendments to the Representation of the People Bill 2025 now permit supernumerary returning officers or their deputies to conduct vote tabulations within sub-districts, an update prompted by controversies during the 2020 elections. Members of the Discipline Service will cast their votes on August 22nd, ahead of the main polling day on September 1st, 2025. Continuing on our coverage of general and regional elections, 3 emerging political groups, Forward Guyana, the People's Movement, and the Vigilant Political Action Committee, VPAC, have joined forces to contest upcoming general and regional elections under a new coalition called the Forward Guyana Movement. The leaders, Amanza Walton Desir, Nigel London, and Darwin Best, signed an accord on Tuesday, formalizing their partnership, which they describe as a commitment to national unity, equity, institutional reform, and good governance.
Now is the time to move forward, Guyana.
The coalition symbol is a steering wheel featuring the map of Guyana at the center and the logos of the 3 founding groups around it, representing their shared direction and collective leadership. Nigel London, founder of the People's Movement, said the coalition is rooted in restoring dignity to public life.
The People's Movement is certain about the potential that lies in store when parties collaborate with the nation's best interests as our focus. The people of our beloved Guyana are able to move her forward to a different political experience. Today I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with men and women of courage and principle, not because we agree on everything, but because we agree on one thing, on the one thing that really matters. Guyana deserves better.
VPAC leader Darwin Best said, "This movement is for the people, and the voices of ordinary citizens will drive the coalition."
I believe that Guyana needs this right here. A movement that is for the people. A movement that would invite the people. So you all, including the ones looking around the world, can sit there and say, you know what? I have an idea, and we will listen. Because we're not building this for the 3 of us. We're building this for all of you. There's enough wealth in this country that every Guyanese can be successful.
Amanza Walton Desir, former APNU AFC parliamentarian who recently launched Forward Guyana, emphasized that the coalition is about disrupting fear-based leadership and offering an alternative vision.
We are here to disrupt the cycle. We are not just interested in managing it. To lead with vision, to lead with integrity and boldness, and not with vanity or vengeance. This is not just a political alliance. It is a movement of people who have decided that Guyana's future cannot be left in the hands of the past. And so we stand united. We're united by values such as service over status, people over politics, and country over convenience. And let me be clear, this is not a personality project. This is not a vanity run. This is a principled stand to give Guyana and Guyanese a real alternative, rooted in hope, rooted in truth, and rooted in action.
The Forward Guyana Movement has announced plans to release its manifesto and launch its election campaign in the coming weeks. The coalition also signaled openness to partnering with other like-minded parties. Stick around when we return. Guyana Police Force embarks on major reform to modernize policing and rebuild public trust. And Guyana to host the largest ever building expo from August 14 to 17, 2025.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The Guyana Police Force is undergoing a sweeping transformation aimed at enhancing public safety, improving accountability, and modernizing law enforcement across the country. And this is according to the Commissioner of Police, Clifton Hicken. He outlined the force's strategic roadmap during an appearance on the program Safeguarding Our Nation, highlighting 6 core pillars.
The 6 pillars are basically developing our human, partnership, infrastructure, operation, professionalism, accountability, and professionalism. Performance, accountability, and professionalism. Those are the 6 pillars. Coming out of the 6 pillars, we have standardized in terms of work plans across the force. And so from the constable to the commissioner understands what is the direction in terms of the strategic plan, and this is how the force will run. Coming out of that, infrastructurally, we did some visits across the regions, and we realized that the police are behaving how they were behaving because the stations aren't conducive for them to optimize the full potential. And so we decided that we were going to have minimum standard buildings across the force, standardized of course, blue and white, and if you pass across the 10 administrative regions of Guyana and the 12 administrative regions of the force, you're going to see what is not completed yet, is at an advanced stage of completion, or is completed already.
A primary focus is the upgrade of police infrastructure, with billions invested in rebuilding and standardizing police stations, outposts, and living quarters in all 10 administrative regions. Projects already underway include new facilities in Mahaica, North Ramveld, Betterfawaktin, and Imboruto, as well as significant upgrades at Denamsel. A new state-of-the-art brick dam police station is also expected to be completed in 2026. Asked about policy reform, the commissioner stated,
We've done a lot, and we continue to develop capacity in that regard. You know, we have 10 administrative regions, and the regions that are close, they're comfortable. But what about the regions, Region 1? What about Region 8? What about Region 7, Region 9? Even to Region 10. Those people have to come to Georgetown to acquire services. And when they are coming to Georgetown, they're spending a lot of money, 10 times more than they're paying for the package that they're coming to Georgetown for. And so we decided that we're going to help these people out. Now we decided the first thing we're going to do is look at the passports. Over the years, we've been decentralizing passports, but we continue to move in a more alacrity stage, meaning the immigration officer is testing the amount of passports given across the regions. And what we're doing now, we've decentralized that, and so it's going straight back to the home instead of people spend money to come to Georgetown. That is happening with the fitness too, that is happening with ammunition, and that is happening with police clearance.
Regarding accountability, Hicken added the force is equipping officers with body cameras and introducing stun guns to ensure transparency and reduce the use of excessive force.
We did an SOP that deals with stun gun. Why we're using stun gun is because we want to comply with the use of force continuum. We hadn't that, and so our use of force continuum could not have been represented properly. But now we have this stun gun, we can use that rather than using force against, lethal force against members of the public. That is working for us. The body camera gives transparency between the police and the public whenever they speak. And so, you know, my instructions are very clear. Persons must not stop if the rank does not have a body camera. If there's a roadblocks supervised by officers and the rest of it, where we expect everybody to stop to comply. But one police or two policemen traffic, of course, without body camera, they're not supposed to be stopping anybody. Their duty is to control the speed to ensure that we have less fatality. And so, yes, they're benefiting from it, but it's going to impact on them within the near future.
Commissioner Hicken also pointed to a dramatic decline in major crimes. Murders decreased by 63%, armed robberies by 88%, and burglaries by 93%. Despite these successes, the Commissioner acknowledged more work must be done and emphasized the importance of public engagement.
We are striving every day to be more transparent as a police force. You can see we're improving the force through diversity. We've been putting up additional outposts. We've been filtering body cameras to the policemen to ensure there's transparency. And we're doing everything in our power to ensure that the public understand what we're doing and they can embrace us in this regard as a country.
The Commissioner of Police further stated that the Police Complaint Authority and the Office of Professional Responsibility are key avenues to hold the force accountable for its actions.
No police is above the law. Similarly, no civilian is above the law. We have the Commissioner of Police, you can come to me. We have the ELT, you can go to them. The Divisional Branch Commanders and every station. Why? I've placed it as a policy, open door. Everybody must access the public and the public must access the police at their levels. Very importantly for us, we have the PAC, meaning the Police Complaint Authority, that deals with when members of the public and the police are at refer. But more importantly, the Office of Professional Responsibility. They're dealing with reaching of SOPs and OPRs and the rest of it. And so if there's an issue with members of the public, let me just assure you, and if all the others fail, just stick with me. Come to the Commissioner's office and I'm going to ensure it's done.
$34.4 billion was earmarked in this year's national budget to advance the modernization of the Guyana Police Force, up from $30.3 billion in 2024, as part of ongoing efforts to boost police visibility and improve response capabilities across the country. In other news, Guyana's premier construction and investment event, Building Expo 2025, has been officially launched and will take place from August 14th to 17th at the National Stadium in Providence under the theme, The Road to Success, Guyana 2030 and Beyond. At Tuesday's media launch, Housing and Water Ministers Colin Crowell and Susan Rodriguez, along with senior officials and stakeholders, outlined the transformative scope of this year's Expo, which promises to be the largest and most inclusive to date. Of the 373 available booths, 268 have already been reserved and 122 fully paid for, signaling strong local and international interest. The Expo is expected to draw hundreds of thousands of visitors and will spotlight sustainable community development, digital infrastructure, and investment opportunities across multiple sectors. Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell emphasized that the event is more than a trade show. It's a national platform for innovation, collaboration, and partnership among the government, private sector, and the diaspora. A key feature will be a 3D model of Silica City, Guyana's planned sustainable city, as well as the land allocations and title distributions under the Dream Realized initiative. Minister Rodriguez highlighted the Expo's reputation as a launchpad for entrepreneurs and a showcase of Guyana's growth across industries. Organizer says the Building Expo 2025 will blend cutting-edge global technologies with Guyana's craftsmanship to demonstrate the country's vision for 2030 and beyond. Don't go away after the break. Grenada PM confirmed corruption with Hurricane Beryl response, and France swelters as heatwave grips nation, sparking climate concerns.
Good girl forget things. What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from modern optical services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. How small to make fashion fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Grenadian Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell has confirmed incidents of financial misconduct involving housing reconstruction after Hurricane Beryl, but says corruption is not widespread. He attributed issues to poor financial management by subcontractors under the fixed-term contracts. Finance Minister Dennis Cornwall revealed that audits are on the way into cases where contractors failed to complete projects. Officials warned that all government funds must be accounted for and legal actions may follow if misuse is confirmed. Meanwhile, in Europe, France is grappling with an unprecedented heat wave that has affected all regions of the country, with 16 departments on red heat alert and 68 others under an orange rating. Al Jazeera's Natasha Butler reports.
Up early to beat the heat. Aline Orias works on her organic herb farm outside of Paris. She says since starting her business 7 years ago, adapting to extreme temperatures is one of her biggest challenges.
It has a direct impact on our productivity, on our ability to work and to make a living. This year our production might be reduced by the heat wave. Last year it was too much rain, cold and late frosts.
France is in the grip of a heat wave that's pushing temperatures above 40 degrees in some regions. Meteorologists blame a layer of trapped hot air over Europe, a so-called heat dome. Hundreds of schools are shut, emergency measures are in place. People are doing what they can to cope.
I can barely walk. I can't bear this heat anymore.
This Paris councillor says the capital's already preparing for a hotter future by creating green spaces, reducing traffic and looking at ways to transform old buildings.
We need to refurbish all our historical buildings, and this is going to be a challenge because we are used to how it looks, but we would need to have vegetation growing on top of it. We would need to build a wooden terrace on top of our zinc roof. We need to refurbish our schools.
Some scientists say that heat waves and other extreme weather events are increasingly frequent because of climate change. But despite the warnings and the sense of crisis, the French president has called on green policy. Emmanuel Macron once championed environmental issues.
Make our planet great again.
Now he's rolling back some of France's climate goals and trying to put the brakes on some EU plans. He says green policy must not stifle business. Some say he's making concessions to rising right-wing forces in Europe.
In the past year or two, we have seen a regression on climate policy and on the budget for ecological transition. And today, we are paying the price for that.
The heat wave's expected to last a short while longer before temperatures fall. A welcome respite, but one that's likely to be temporary as the climate becomes less predictable. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Paris.
Wildfires are raging across Turkey, forcing more than 50,000 people to evacuate their homes. Al Jazeera's Sinem Kosiyoglu reports.
Firefighting helicopters tackle wildfires in the southern Turkish city of Hatay. It is the latest front line in a fire season that has already displaced more than 50,000 people nationwide. A city still recovering from 2023's powerful earthquakes now chokes in smoke, layering more trauma for people here. In the western city of Izmir, 42,000 people were forced to leave their homes after winds of up to 50,000 kilometers an hour pushed the flames towards coastal towns, scorching the hillsides.
üzücü, çok üzüldük. 40 yıllık hatıralar.
It's very sad. We're really upset. We have 40 years of memories here. Our children grew up here. I spent my youth here. I can only turn my back to it. That's how much it pains me. Let this be a lesson to people. Please question it, especially those who live in fire zones. We are in an area with such wind as this.
27 aircraft, 105 helicopters, 14 drones and some 25,000 forestry workers are battling the flames, yet every wind shift redraws the front line for the crews. Since June the 1st, Turkey has recorded at least 1,500 wildfires. Police say 31 people are under investigation for arson or possible negligence. Scientists also link the surge to hotter, drier summers, the same conditions fueling fires from France to Spain and Italy. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan warns that almost every fire starts with human hands and is urging citizens to treat the next 2 months as a fire emergency. For many communities already hit by the flames, that warning has come too late. With a high number of wildfires sparked by discarded cigarette butts and picnic fires, authorities have banned access to forests in 41 provinces, warning of extreme fire risk. And with the wind speed still increasing, crews are bracing for yet another long night. Sinem Kösoğlu, Al Jazeera.
US President Donald Trump has opened a controversial new migrant detention facility that's been labeled Alligator Alcatraz. Al Jazeera's Phil Level reports.
President Donald Trump landing in Florida to open what has been called Alligator Alcatraz. This controversial new migrant detention facility on the site of an abandoned swampland airfield, surrounded by pythons and alligators, which officials say will stop escapes. Touring the site with his Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, and the man behind it all, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis.
We have a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops that are in the form of alligators. You don't have to pay them so much. But I wouldn't want to run through the Everglades for long. It will keep people where they're supposed to be. This is a very important thing.
Undocumented migrant detentions are up 56,000 in custody in June compared to 39,000 when Trump took office in January. But as migrants, or the administration calls them illegal immigrants, have been scooped up nationally, there has been a shortage of places to hold them. Even sites like the infamous Guantanamo Bay in Cuba being used. And now this one in the Everglades, which can hold 5,000 detainees, constructed in little more than a week. This facility is being described as a one-stop shop. Those are the governor's own words. The idea being that migrants will be driven down this road, in through those gates down there, and then that's it, they're in. They are held there, they're processed there, they are deported from there because planes will leave from this site. Of course, before all of that, you've got to have immigration hearings, which need immigration judges. But the governor says if they run out, no problem, he's got a plan. They're going to use the National Guard.
Someone has a notice to appear, Biden would tell them to come back in 3 years and appear. Now you'll be able to appear in like a day or two, so they're not going to be detained, hopefully, for all that long.
For these men, it was a return to friends, at least for the cameras. They fell out publicly when DeSantis challenged Trump for the Republican leadership. But the governor has been working hard to get Trump back on side and positioning Florida as one of the toughest states in the country when it comes to deporting undocumented migrants.
People don't have to come here. If they self-deport and go home, they can come back legally. We will let them come back legally.
And there is a lot of self-deportation.
Yes, but if you wait and we bring you to this facility, you don't ever get to come back to America.
This won't be Florida's only deportation site. Construction starts at another north of Miami as early as Saturday, again with an airstrip to get deportation planes in the sky and quickly, as the administration tries to stick to its goal of 1 million kicked out per year with Florida's help. Phil Lavelle, Al Jazeera, in the Florida Everglades.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is this Friday weather forecast. And that's it TV2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.